72-year-old Anthony Agunyo has been homeless for decades. He was born at Ayawaso, which used to be a farming community. He used to grow food crops such as cassava, corn, pepper, garden eggs, and okra until their farmlands were taken away from them for urban development. He lost his source of livelihood since then. He then relocated to Pokwase and ventured into menial jobs like construction laborer, where he suffered an accident and never recovered from it.
How they took the land from me, I just go for some people to work for as a laborer till I got an accident and I cannot do any work again. And then I become like this in my house. I'm having some four trucks carrying the load. So it fell with me, and yes, and it knocked down my thing,
Your hip.
my hip. Then I fall down. So through by that time, they said they will make operation. I don't have money, so that's why it becomes like that.
He lives in this kiosk, donated to him by Tabita Ghana, a non-profit advocacy organization for the aged. It occupies this eroded space free of any charges until the landlord has need for it. He cannot afford paying electricity, and so he only charges his phone at a neighbor's house, and for other electricity needs, he improvises. A box iron, torchlight, and radio, both of which require batteries. His co-tenants agreed that he neither pays for using the bathroom nor the toilet. He says the metal springs in his bed makes it uncomfortable to lie on, but he has no choice. He is a bachelor with no child to support him, and he mostly depends on the children of his neighbors to run errands for him, and even that is based on their availability. On a good day, he is able to afford 2 meals a day, and on some days he starves. He usually cooks by himself, but when he runs out of groceries, gari, or Lagos coffee, as he terms it, becomes his solace. So let's have a look at your groceries. What do you have there now? You have a bit of oil. I see a little rice. So
This is the rest of the sanitizer.
okay. When was the last time you had it?
This one,
Yes.
from this thing, we went to trade fair. The pastors, they were the people who came there and got it every time.
Okay. That's the name for gari.
Yes, in our school time we call it Lagos coffee.
Lagos coffee. Okay. So what kind of phone do you have?
I'm having X Innova
Okay.
and Airtel.
Okay. All right. The last time he got any support from the assembly, presumably from the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty League, was in 2018. So do they give you any monthly stipend?
Nevertheless, they never.
In 2019, he received this mail from a group of philanthropists, but has since not made any income from it.
This machine, it was given me by NGOs since 2019, 29th January, up till now. The machine, I haven't got any help from it before. I want to send it to the this thing, to the regions, but I haven't got any. I went to Astraman because of that. All the people there are granny, they all buy some. Everybody with his food.
So because it's common in those areas,
Yes, it
you
is.
can't find market for it.
Yes, it is common in those places, so I didn't get markets.
Since 2020 till date, when the country was hit by COVID-19, times have been tough. Mr. Agunyo has lived on the benevolence of church members and Tabita Ghana, albeit irregularly. He only has 2 reusable nose masks and a tiny bottle of sanitizer. So this is the only nose mask you have?
Two.
You have two of them.
I have another one too. The one they gave me from this thing. Trade for it.
So how do you cater for your hospital needs?
I'm having this, but this one they have expired.
Your national health insurance?
Yes.
But it's free for persons above 70.
But if I went there, they want to challenge me. So all the time I do go to these people, social welfare director, and he gave me a letter before they do it for me.
Okay.
So this one I've got expired.
Before parting ways, he made some staggering revelations. There are times we experience torrential rain.
Yes,
and even for days.
Yes.
So how would you cope?
For daytime, if it is raining for daytime, there is nothing.
But
Yes.
in the night?
I feel it too much. But we are around, so I can stand somewhere.
So do you have any protective clothes, like
No.
something to keep you warm?
Nevertheless, nothing. Thank you very much. Okay, we shall meet again.
Okay, so...
Yeah. Oh, yes. What do you call you?
I hear you.
Okay.
From Pokwase, we stopped at Afiaman, where we met three elderly persons who are related. 60-year-old Samuel Tete and 79-year-old Samuel Eje are long-distance and local drivers respectively, whose trips have been halted due to COVID-19. However, Samuel Eje was once a footballer at the Susubribi Football Club at New Tafo and attributes his activeness to that. Vidalabi is 64-year-old and for decades retails pepper after she's been supplied wholesale. Due to inflating prices, she rarely makes a turnover. Besides, she is hypertensive and doctors have cautioned her to tone down on the pressure exerted on herself. Although they sometimes receive remittances from their children, who are mainly artisans, they complain times are tough.
We are restricted in our movements, and we are unable to fend for ourselves due to the pandemic and depend on the benevolence of others. I stopped work due to ill health, and I'm currently unemployed.
I retail pepper at Agogloshi, but due to inflation, I hardly make any profits, and I lost my capital due to COVID-19.
Another energetic and elderly woman is Grace Kole. She is 73 years with 3 children, although she lives alone in this container. She is well aware of the COVID-19 protocols and adheres to them. She was also hard hit by COVID-19 and says she has no source of livelihood but lives on the benevolence of others.
Presently, I am unemployed and I depend on the benevolence of my neighbors.
The situation was the same in many other households visited.
Really?
Meet 83-year-old Samuel Matekole, alias Ejawele. He is a former staff of the defunct State Fishing Corporation and a seaman. The father of one and a divorcee disclosed that his son has abandoned him because of disagreements. Although he isn't in the best of health, living with cataract, he manages well on his own. He does all his chores himself. At the time of visit, he had prepared contomere stew prior to visiting his farm. He tells us that a tract of his farmlands was taken from him for urban development without compensation. He tills what is left of it as a means of exercising.
I lost most part of my farmlands to urban development. I only cultivate on a thin portion of it.
Animal research for
He takes solace in the companionship of his friend from the neighborhood, Mr. Daniel Opare.
Last one, no.
78-year-old Mr. Opare was a laborer at the defunct state farms, and when he retired, he took to driving a taxi but is currently out of work. Tabita Ghana is an agency for the aged. Its roles have been phenomenal in attending to the needs of the elderly and elderly from the various communities, especially at the peak of COVID-19.
COVID brought a lot of hardships, but basically we are looking at food because that is the primary need of every person, especially the elderly who don't have people to support them in such times. We used to have a medical team, but when COVID came, they were skeptical in working with the elderly, so we decided not to do much about the healthcare issues. So if somebody has a problem like what is just complaining, if it's a malaria, common malaria, we already have drugs. So once we have somebody or we have a nurse confirming that this is a malaria, then they give us the directives to give it to them.
However, in the last 2 years, they have done much more.
We launched a program we call Agenda 2000 by 12. We were talking about 2000. By December 2020, we should have reached 2,000 elderly people. So we embarked on that program and we were able to feed a lot of people. Here, we now have about 5 communities where we have membership, and they are numbering into about 300. And so we make sure that every center, we send some of the food parcels there and we give them out to them. And also we have some members who are on our list for feeding. So every week or every other week, we have to make sure we give them food. And sometimes we give them money also to buy items that we cannot supply. So basically food is number one. Then their medical care or their health. We also make sure those who don't have health insurance, we help them to get health insurance. Those who have and it's expired, we try to renew it for them. That way they can access medical care from the nearest clinics.
The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, through the Municipal Assembly, had distributed food stamps to the aged during the lockdown. Though the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP exists, these men and women in their golden years are yet to benefit.
A study was made by a group and they found out that about 32%, only 32% of elderly people have access to LEAP. Interestingly, I followed up when I started a project. I went to the social welfare department. Then I realized that a lot of my clients have been registered, but they were all disqualified. When I wanted to find out, they told me that the processes of selecting who is a needy person is not done by social welfare. Interesting. So the social welfare people will go and register the people, and then another group of people who go and select those who qualify. The eligibility criteria we don't know. But what I learned from the social welfare people is that they have certain questions that technically knock out most of the people, because they are asking for certain things that you have as an elderly person. So if they ask you, you have a house, then it means you are well off, so you don't need support. But you know, elderly people, they might have an old, some dilapidated house somewhere. That is not fetching any money for them. So if he says he has a television, maybe a black and white television, you don't know, and because of that he's disqualified. Then of course, so at the end of the day, you have about 20, 50 of them registered from a community, and less than 10 are selected.
Yet, there seems to be a justifiable reason. Well, according to the assembly,
in this country, the older people don't have any benefit. Until you are 70, you don't benefit from health insurance, free health insurance. You have to be 70 and above before you have free health insurance. You don't have free medical care anywhere. You live also, you are disqualified because you have a small room or you have a small house.
these old men and women want the criteria for selection reviewed and a percentage of the LEAP funding allocated to them, since there seem not to be any government-backed benefits for the elderly in the country. Sarah Furi, GBC News, Pokwase.